Welcome to the PAES Lab. This is the 5th PAES Lab training video. In this video, we will show you where and how to record PAES scores using the data collection booklet and the cumulative record. We will also practice the complete lab procedure with scoring. This is a data collection booklet. Each employee has a data collection booklet for recording assessment data. It's divided into 5 components: computer technology, consumer service, construction industrial, processing production, and business marketing, and has places for you to enter scores for every job. The employee's data collection booklet is a record of performance of all jobs that have been attempted by that employee. This is the cumulative record form. Each employee has a cumulative record form in their employee work folder. It is a single page that includes spaces for all 264 PAES jobs and serves as a summary of an employee's progress through the PAES lab. It's also used to help supervisors decide what new jobs to assign to employees. The PAES scoring guide and flowchart are the most important pages in the PAES training. Assigning and recording scores in PAES can be complex at first. Not all scores are recorded at the same time. Meanwhile, some scores are recorded more than once throughout the assessment process, while others aren't. The scoring guide and flowchart give you a step-by-step guide of exactly when and where to assign scores. The scoring guide is a 4-page fold-out brochure. If you open it up, there are 2 sides. One side includes a 2-page flowchart with scoring parameters underneath. The other side covers accommodations, modifications, and alternative scoring options for employees with significant needs. The scoring guide is designed to help you quickly retrieve the scoring information you need to know at the time you need to know it. When the brochure is folded closed, it is condensed to 2 sides. One side covers the scores that you will assign when an employee is attempting their first trial, while the other side covers the scores you assign if the employee needs to attempt additional trials. The scoring guide flowchart is designed to be used with the employee and supervisor work procedures. It's divided into instructions for assigning scores during Step 5, when the employee calls the supervisor over to begin the job. Step 10, when the employee calls the supervisor over to check their work on their first trial. And a 3rd section for additional trials. These steps match the steps on the employee and supervisor work procedures. As we walk through the process for recording scores, keep your flowchart side open up fully and follow along. After you become familiar with scoring, it will become second nature. But until that point, use the scoring guide to ensure you're assessing employees accurately. Along with the data collection booklet and the cumulative record, the scoring guide is an essential part of the scoring process. This is a sample data collection booklet page. Let's take a closer look at the alphabetizing unit on this page and walk through where and how a supervisor would record scores. As you can see, each job in the AB unit has spaces for recording scores for quality, work rate, interest, assistance, and number of trials. If accommodations are given, there is a place to put a check mark in the ACC column. If you provided accommodations, there is an area at the back of the booklet to describe those accommodations. After you check off the ACC column, please describe the accommodations you gave here. Remember, be as brief as possible while including information that might be helpful to a potential employer. There is also a column entitled ESP. ESP stands for Entered in the Scoring Program. This column will keep track of what you've already entered in the scoring software program. We will review in detail how to enter scores in the scoring software in Video 13, Entering Data on the Computer. Now, let's look at scoring in the context of the lab procedure you learned previously. When an employee calls you over during Step 5 of the work procedure, the only score you will record is assistance. The remaining scores will be recorded at Step 10 of the employee work procedure after the employee has finished attempting the job. If the employee doesn't need any assistance, assign an assistance score of 1. Trials and other scores are not recorded at this time. You might wonder why assistance and trial scores are recorded at different times. If the lab shift ends before the employee finishes their trial, that attempt does not count as a first unsuccessful trial. However, once an employee has received any level of assistance, that assistance score remains or increases. Even if the employee requires less assistance on later trials of the same job, the assistance number should always reflect the maximum level of assistance given at any point during the job. Now, let's look at the scores you will record during Step 10. When you arrive at the employee's workstation during Step 10, first check the employee's stopwatch. If the employee's stopwatch was not started or stopped correctly, tell the employee to perform the job over, remembering to use their stopwatch properly. Do not assign them any scores for this attempt. If this is an employee's first trial, first check to see that they have recorded their interest on the employee work record. If you find that they have not yet marked their interest, ask them to choose their level of interest before you assign scores for their work. If you wait to inquire about an employee's interest until after assigning scores, they might say, "Well, I didn't like that job anyway," simply because they had made a mistake. Once you've recorded a score for interest, assign scores for quality and work rate on the employee's data collection booklet. Remember, scores for work rate are determined using the 2 times listed on the back of the job card. Also, mark a tally in the trial section space to indicate the first trial. Then, on the cumulative record form, mark a tally for the first trial as well. Remember to use the scoring criteria section for each job in the corresponding component QRG. They contain specific details on how to assign scores for quality. If the employee performed the job with no errors on their first trial, circle the trial tally on both the data collection form and the cumulative record form to indicate that the employee has successfully completed the job. They are now ready to move on to a new job. If the employee made any errors on their first trial, do not circle the trial tally in the data collection booklet or on the cumulative record form. Ask the employee to repeat the job. Remember, a circle should only be drawn around trial tallies when the job was performed successfully. If you think your employee needs more assistance to perform the job correctly, give the employee more assistance. In rare cases, you might be convinced by an employee's performance that they won't be able to perform the job correctly with more attempts. In that rare case, you can assign them a new job. Remember to record any additional assistance or accommodations given at this time. And remember, do not reduce scores for assistance or trials. These scores can only be increased to show a higher level of needed assistance or more attempts made. When you are called over to review a second attempt of a job, do not change scores for quality, work rate, or interest. These scores are only recorded on the first attempt. On any attempt after the first one, check only to see if the job was completed successfully and increase the number of trials by 1. If the employee completed the job without making any errors on their second trial, make sure their data collection booklet and cumulative record have 2 trial tallies each. Then circle both sets of tallies to show the job has been performed successfully. However, if the employee makes errors on their second attempt, still make sure there are 2 trial tallies, both on the cumulative record form and in the data collection booklet, but do not circle them. Reassess if you think the employee will perform the job successfully with additional assistance or trials. If so, give them a third chance to perform the job correctly. Otherwise, consider using the optional scoring process, breaking the job down into a subtask assessment, or assigning a new job. Now we're going to walk through scoring together. Again, follow along in your scoring guide flowchart. You will also need your blank sample data collection sheets and the blank sample cumulative record form provided in your training materials. Arrange them side by side in front of you like so. Now follow along with the video. Let's use job AB1 as an example. For this example, you will need the sample data collection form for business marketing. During step 5, after you've made sure the employee has properly prepared the job, first ask, do you know how to do this job? Or, what do you think you will do to complete this job? Then provide the level of assistance the employee needs and mark the amount of assistance you gave them on their data collection form. Remember to use leading questions to help them arrive at the answer on their own. This supervisor gave a verbal description of the job. Put a 2 in the assistance box next to the AB1 job. During step 10, after the employee has completed their first trial and called you over, review their work. Remember to first check that they've recorded their interest on their daily work record before recording scores. Use the scoring criteria in the Business Marketing QRG to assign a score for quality. Mark scores for interest, quality, and work rate. Then mark a tally in the trial space in the data collection booklet and on the cumulative record. Since the job was performed successfully, circle the trial tallies in both places. If you feel ready, or you are participating in a group training facilitated by a certified PAES trainer, pause the video now to perform this practice on your own with a partner. You'll need to pick a job from the practice assignment chart. Or, if you'd like to watch us go through one more example, we will provide another practice opportunity after that. Now, let's follow the procedure again, this time with the employee making an error on their first trial. During step 10, first assign scores for quality, work rate, and interest, as you did in the last scenario. Then mark a tally in the trial space in the data collection booklet and on the cumulative record form. As the job was not performed correctly, don't circle these tallies. Accommodations weren't provided, so there's no need to make a check in the ACC space or describe accommodations in the last section of the data collection booklet. After recording scores, decide if you think the employee needs any additional assistance before their second trial. If the employee does need more assistance, give them additional levels of assistance and update their assistance score. After recording an updated assistance score, if necessary, instruct the employee to try the job again. When an employee calls you over after completing their second trial, check for errors. Mark an additional trial tally on both the data collection booklet and the cumulative record form. The employee performed the job with no errors. Circle the tallies on both the cumulative record form and in the data collection booklet. Remember, for additional trials, do not change scores for quality, work rate, or interest. Also, remember to not reduce scores for assistance or trials. If the employee instead made errors on their second attempt, you would still add one trial tally to the tallies on the data collection booklet and the cumulative record form, but not circle them. Then you would decide if you think the employee could perform the job during the next trial with an accommodation, modification, or increased assistance. If you think the employee will not be able to perform the job without a lot of assistance and many unsuccessful trials, you might try the optional scoring process. Or if you think the employee can perform parts of the job but not the entire job, try the subtask assessment. Otherwise, pick a new job. We will cover the optional scoring process and the subtask assessment in video 12, assessing employees with significant needs. Great work! Now find a partner and we'll practice the PAES lab procedure with scoring. For this practice, first do the following. Place the following items at the check-in station for employee use. A computer with timing software, employee work folders, stopwatches and the job card boxes. Put up the 5 component charts. Give each trainee sample data collection pages. And place the 5 component QRGs in their respective component areas so supervisors can check job setup, scoring guidelines, and disassembly instructions. Finally, pick a partner and decide who will start as an employee and who will start as a supervisor. Employees need the employee work procedure. Supervisors need an employee work folder, a supervisor work procedure, a scoring guide flowchart, sample data collection pages, and the QRG for the assigned component. While performing this practice, go through all the steps on the employee and supervisor work procedure with scoring. After you've completed one full job and scored it, switch roles. Include a modification or accommodation for each employee during the practice. And finally, before you begin, each pair of trainees should select a pair of jobs listed on the PAES Practice Training Job Assignment Sheet for you to use in this practice. Okay, you're ready. Now pause this video and perform the practice. This completes the training on scoring in PAES. The scoring process is complex at first, but once you get the hang of it, it can become second nature. Before assigning any scores in the lab, be sure to review the PAES Lab Procedures Manual section on assigning scores for more detailed information. Our next video covers the PAES Daily Points System. Thanks.